Thanks for Dan for having me. I'm the first time speaking and hosting a Growth Hacker this year, so it gave me the opportunity. So I'm passionate about growth. I was here last year talking at freelancers about growth, and he offered me the opportunity to speak, host the event this year. So I started at Capital Pitch a few years ago when I learned about growth, and we really focused on search engine optimization, understanding what entrepreneurs and founders were looking for, and really creating blogs and content for them so that we were ranking on all these keywords related to pitch and fundraising. Also like conversion optimization, and developed some tools about LinkedIn scraping, Facebook automated bot that really got us famous. And then after like 2 years when we got funding, then for me it was time to do something new, and that's where I met Tamir, and then we started the venture Vic the Media. So Vic the Media, what we believe is that every business should be able to achieve growth, and how we do that, we use the right tools, the right people, and especially the right methodology and knowledge. So here's the team. We have Tamir, Vigde, right there, Graham, and San, and myself. So what we do, so we adapt to and find the latest technology, meaning that, for example, for Mompurse, which is an e-commerce website that you probably have heard of, we have helped them with a Facebook chatbot and as well push notification to generate hundreds of leads every day, which was a very new technology that none of their competitors were using, and that helped us to achieve fast growth for them and increase their revenue during like the Black Friday weekend by double of the last year sales. We also are data driven, meaning that, for example, for the government of New South Wales, they had a landing page that was converting at probably 20%. We just redesigned it, create some multiple A/B tests, and at the end of the project, we were converting the landing page at 74%, which was a very big win for us. And the last thing is we do take advantage of automation, meaning that everything that we, after testing, after redoing and optimizing, we make sure that everything is optimized, the campaign is complete, so that we can move on to next campaign and achieve faster growth at scale. So if you want to learn more, just have a look at our website, or you can just email us at it's grow@vicdemedia.com. And here's the first speaker, which is Will Wang. That's going to come in a minute. So what it does, he's specialized in Facebook marketing and as well email, cold email, and email workflows. So it's going to be very interesting to understand how to reach out to people with cold emails, and once they have answer, how to follow up with them to conclude with a sale. And the two other speakers that we have are Rob and Will from Shipit, an Australian startup. So they're going to tell us about their story, which is going to be very interesting. So how they leave their company and how they started Shipit, and understand the market, and really the, like, I guess, Zappos is focused on the customer, and having increased their shipping for now over 3 million parcels in Australia. And so the last thing, we want to thank Cheryl and the freelancer for having us in StartCon, that offering us the pizza, the space, which is great, all this technology. And the last thing, at the end, we're going to come back with jobs, and who was looking for job, or here's a company that look for jobs, can come here, offer a position to any growth hacker or marketers in the room. So the first speaker will be Will. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Come have word.
Thanks, Ray. Awesome. Cool. Hey guys, can you all hear me? Awesome, sweet. Thanks Dan, thanks Pablo for the intro, Dan for organising this, and Freelancer for hosting the space. So guys, Dan took me out for drinks before this, and I'm on my second can of V, so if this all goes terribly, I'm going to blame Dan for that. Cool? So let's see if we can see the slides. Awesome. So what I'm going to share with you guys today, I'm going to go through and try not to destroy expensive AV equipment, but I'm going to show you guys how to get more leads, close more deals, and win more clients using cold emails. Is that what you guys expected? It's what you're here for? Yeah? Awesome, I hope so. So my goal for this talk I'm going to give is to kind of start at a very high level and show you guys the principles of cold email and what makes cold email work and work really well. And then I'm going to break it down into strategies, and I'll even show you some of the templates that I've used that got pretty good response rates. Sound all right? All good, guys? Let's kick it off. So I want this to be as interactive as possible, right? I don't want to stand up here and talk to you guys for half an hour or however long it take, because you guys are on the beers after work, you're probably going to fall asleep. So I'm going to be picking on you guys throughout the presentation, and if I ask you guys questions, put up your hand, interact, all that kind of cool stuff. Yeah? So first group of questions. Let me know about you guys. So first of all, are you in the B2B space? Hands up if you are. Awesome. B2C? Cool. And B2B CEATD. Does anyone know what that is? No? It's business to consumer to everyone and their dog. Anyone in that space? I hope not. It's a hard space to play in. Cool. So let me preface all the information I'm going to give you with a bit of a story, and hopefully it's going to anchor in what cold emails can actually do, because you guys probably have a preconceived notion of what cold email is and the results that you can get because you get spammed every single day. So let me know if you. So I'm going to tell you guys a bit of a story about my January, and then if anyone can relate, just put your hands up afterwards. So. We've been in business for about 2 or 3 years. Things were going quite well. Started without funding, bootstrapped everything. Got it to the point where everything was looking okay. And January 2018 rolls around. And 3 things happened to my business in January 2018. So first of all, I had 3 of my biggest clients say, hey, can we pause the campaign because we're doing mandatory leave over Christmas? Cool, by itself, not that big of a deal. A bit of a hit to cash flow, okay, but we'll survive. The second thing that happened was we did a massive blitz at the end of 2017 to make our numbers look better. So we, completely our fault, my fault, we sold to the wrong people, we sold at the wrong prices, and we just brought on a whole bunch of wrong customers. So 2018 rolled around, I looked at the numbers and said, holy crap, this is not going to work. So we had to let go of a whole bunch of clients, a whole bunch of refunds, and even then, we would have been okay to survive until February. The third thing was we brought on a new accountant for my business. We had been in startup mode. I was focused solely on sales, solely on revenue coming in. I didn't care about admin stuff, right? Numbers coming in, that's what I want. That's sexy stuff, yeah? But we brought on a new accountant because we wanted to get to the next level and structure the business properly. And they looked for the books and said, holy crap, dude, your last 2 accountants have stuffed you up so badly. I got the biggest tax bill I've ever seen in my life during January. So when you combine the cash flow, when you combine the fact that we just sold to the wrong clients and had to do refunds, and the tax bill, January was probably one of the most difficult months in business I've ever had. I was sitting there wondering, how do I pay my staff? How do I pay the mortgage? How do I put food on the table? And it was just one of those months where everything that could go wrong went wrong. So hands up, guys, if you've actually been through one of those or high-pressure situations. Can you relate? Cool. So, well, not so cool. But yeah, it is what it is. So what I then did was I looked at the business and said, I've got a choice to make. Do I fold it all in and go back to the corporate, or do I step a man up and stop crying, stop drinking whiskey, and get up and do something about it? So what I decided to do was, hey, why don't we make another run at this? Why don't we see how much we can do in the next month, and then I'll make a call at the end of the month. So what I'm going to show you guys today is, I'm going to show you step by step what we did and how we found our whale clients, how we found new deals, how we engaged them, and how we sold to them. Does that sound cool? Awesome. So, guys, once you get I'm going to show you the exact strategy, but once you get the right strategy, things happen in your business. So you get into the right accounts. So clients you love working with and who can pay you the fees that you're actually worth. You get responses and replies from the ideal clients. You get to convert those leads into clients without hard selling, without chasing them, without months and months of badgering and things like that. And you build strong referral partnerships and a whole lot of other cool stuff. And I wrote here, we can't just have 4 points because that'd be kind of weird. But there's a lot of other cool stuff that can come with having a system like this. So in short, what I'm about to show you guys is, if you're B2B, if you're B2C, I'm going to show you guys our system of never being short of leads ever again. Cool? Awesome. So to prove my point, I'm going to show you, this isn't all theory. I'm going to show you guys actual results. So top left-hand side is during January. This was a cold email outreach I did, going to a chain of gyms, 5 or 6 locations, and this was the response we got back in the process of closing that now. Top right-hand corner is the CMO of Virgin Active Worldwide with a reply back. There's one just beneath it with the subject line, are you not entertained? That's to one of the biggest privately held superannuation companies in Australia. And we've got into the meeting with them and we're in the process of closing a deal. And this was, just to show you how relevant this is, this was an email that I got literally last night as my email sequences were firing off. So the cool thing about this though, now these are good results, right? But the cool thing about this, and the reason why I like hot emails, especially if you do it right, is that I've got really thin skin. For an entrepreneur, for a person who's kind of transitioned into sales, I still hate getting rejected. You know what I mean? It's not like I wake up every morning and go, man, I just wish I got rejected some more. It still sucks every single time you get rejected, but if you do cold email right, the cool thing is even the rejection emails are much, much nicer. So they're not telling you to get stuff, get effed. They're saying, hey, it's a cool campaign, but we're not interested. It's a lot better for my feelings. Cool. A couple more slides before I transition into the good stuff. Who am I? So I'm Wang. I know it's a funny name, guys. It's a good name for porn. Whatever, I copped it all during high school, right? CEO and founder of Growth Labs. We grew from 0 to multi-6 figures using cold email alone. And I've been featured on publications like Business Review Australia. And in my spare time, I don't just spam people with emails. I'm not a spam bot. I've got some other things going on too. So, but cold emails allowed me to do some pretty cool things, like surf during the day when everyone else is out at work. It's probably the coolest thing. Being able to hang out with my daughter at her school when every other parent had to go within 2 hours. I stayed the whole day at the school fair. I've been able to speak in San Fran and in Vegas, a couple of events, taking my family all across the world on holidays, and sat in the room with multi-billionaires in Shanghai, China, which is the bottom one there, talking about what Facebook means to Western businesses. So some pretty cool things off the back of cold email. Now, let's get into the meat of it, guys. Let's get into the content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the principles first, or the 3 steps, and then I'm going to go high level, and then really break it down so that you guys can have something actionable, yeah? So my entire goal is that you go away from this tonight and you say, hey, maybe this cold email stuff could work. I'm going to try it for myself. I'm going to try it for my business and see how I go. Sound good? Cool? Yep. So the 3 steps to succeeding using cold email. The first step is how cold email actually works. So I'm going to break down what makes a good cold email, what makes a bad cold email, and how you get the process working to get results really, really quickly. Step 2 is music to my ears/eyes, because it's emails, you can't hear it, read it. And a really bad joke, dad joke, right? But I'm going to take you guys through actual templates we've used to get 90% open rates and 60% reply rates. So hands up who wants to see those templates. That's probably the only thing you guys are here for, right? And number 3 is how to take cold emails to the bank, because as awesome as it is to get leads to say yes, as awesome as it is to get people to reply to cold emails, the last time I tried to pay my mortgage, they wouldn't take the leads I had. I said, hey, I can give you a list of leads. No thanks, we prefer cash. So I'm going to take you through a sales process we've developed that's helped me transition from being anti-sales, hating sales, being scared out of my wits just talking to people on the phone, to easy sales conversations that feel good for me to do, that my clients love and they get real value out of, even if they don't go with our business. Cool? Awesome. Let's get into this. So number 1 is how to not suck at cold emails. I'm going to show you what 99, might be generous, maybe 98 to 99% of people are doing wrong, how they annoy other people, and why people cuss them out. Yeah? So, let's start with this stuff here. So, hands up, guys, if you get messages like this every single day in your inbox. Should be all of you, unless your spam filter is working really well. You probably can't see it. I'm going to break down these two emails. So the one on the right-hand side, it's very, very generic. Hello there. Last time I checked, my name's Will, not there, but anyway. Would you be interested in building your website? Kind of already have a website, but okay, whatever. And then they just go on and go, blah, here's everything we do. With your web design, SEO, I do not care, right? And they just spill everything to me. And the follow-up is even worse. So they've at least tried to do follow-up, but it's even worse than the original email. The one on the left-hand side, actually, this will be fun. Guys, looking at the message on the left-hand side, I want to see a couple of hands and a couple of people interacting with me. What do you think is actually wrong with the message on the left?
I can't read it.
Okay, let me read it out to you. So it starts with, I think this was a person based in the US. So it starts with, hello, William, I've got a quick question for you if you don't mind. I thought I was super clever. I'm like, hey, Shana, the answer is 47. The answer to life? Guys, come on. 42? Oh, crap. No wonder she didn't respond. It's not her fault. But answer 47, more seriously though, what can I do to help you? And then she goes, blah. Are you looking for new or more clients for your business, William? We're a sales and marketing company that provides links, blah, 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 blah. That's the gist of it. So what do you guys think is actually wrong with that?
She never addressed what you said. She never addressed what you said.
Yeah, she never acknowledged my reply. Anything else?
She's not talking about you.
She's not talking about me. Yep.
It's super long. Boring.
It's long and boring. Yep.
This is generic.
Generic. Awesome. Come on, guys. Give me some.
It's inauthentic. She started by having a conversation and then just went straight to monologue.
Awesome. Anything else?
Not personalized.
Yep. Perfect. You guys are all completely right. It's all of them. Right? It's everything that's bad about cold outreach rolled up into one message. So what these guys are doing wrong is, as you guys said, they're not understanding my business or who I am and what I actually need. Right? They don't care. They're just trying to pitch their products. There's no personalization. They've got one of them has my first name, cool, right? But then when I replied, it was just a generic message. So it's deceptive. So if you're going to start a conversation with me and ask me, hey, can I ask you one question? I'm expecting to have a conversation. I'm expecting, what's the question? How can I help? And maybe we can give value to each other. When you ask me, hey, can I ask you one quick question? I say yes. I don't expect to get spammed with all of your services. Does that make sense? Yep. And finally, these guys are playing a numbers game where they go, if I spam 100,000 people and 0.5% of them say yes, I've got 50 clients, I'm rolling, I'm balling, right? Doesn't quite work that way. So here's how we do it right. So guys, I'm going to show you the principles or the rules that we follow when we write our cold emails, and then I'll show you some actual examples. Cool? So the rules, first off, we personalize, and we personalize at scale. Every single cold email we send on behalf of ourselves and for our clients, we know who we're sending the email to in terms of a first name, and we know what that company does and what we can actually do for them. So on that note, we go for quality over quantity. I never, ever want to be in a position where we're sending 100,000 emails in a month or even a year, right? We play the quality game. So we also don't send emails to info@, contact@, or admin@ email addresses because we're just not sure who it's going to. And, it's just, I don't like dealing with gatekeepers. And that, for me, is one of the biggest problems, that people just have a whole list of emails and their stats look really bad because they're not sending it to the right address. So we don't send it to those info@ email addresses. The fourth point, and probably one of the most important points, is what does my offer actually help them with? Because it's not about you, right? It's not about the open rates, the stats, or anything like that. It's about what you can actually do for your customers and your leads. And then one of the most important metrics that we track, that not a lot of cold emailers out there actually track, is deliverability. So what I mean by that is, if we send 10 emails, how many of the emails ends up in an inbox? Because I'm not going to get into the technical side of it, but when spam filters are looking for spam emails, they look at what your bounce rate is, all that kind of, your own service, what your bounce rate, stuff like that. So we think, if we can get more emails into inboxes and more, theoretically, that means we're getting more emails opened. If we're getting more emails opened, that means we're getting more replies. But it all starts with making sure we're not just blasting the market to wrong emails, but we've got the correct emails. Make sense? Cool. Awesome. A couple of other points. We like to be industry specific if possible. So if there's one industry you guys really do a lot of work with, have a lot of good case studies in, start with that industry and then kind of branch out. And the point, there was a great point that you made about being too long. I want to see, show of hands guys, who thinks short emails work better? And who thinks longer emails work better? No? It's a trick question. We've tested both. And as long as the messaging is relevant, you want it to be as short as it takes to get the message across correctly. So even if it's a longer email than you guys think would work, as long as it's, it's written the right way, it can actually work better than short emails. So I'll show you 2 templates later on, one short, one long, and kind of explain how they work. Cool? And then obviously subject has to be relevant to the body. So if I'm asking, if I'm going to a business saying, hey, can I ask you guys a quick question? I will actually ask a quick question and start a conversation. And final rule, and I've got something in here I think you guys will like, but don't just send one. So we normally sequence our emails to, between 5 to 8 emails to get into a business. So never just the one email. Cool, guys? We'll save questions for later on, but we'll just move on. So this is our process. Now, there's 4 steps, the first 2 being critically important, and the third and the fourth being stuff that you really, really should be doing. So the first one is finding the right person. We talked about no info at email addresses, and we start at the top. So if I'm pitching to a company that has a CEO, a CFO, a CMO, I'm starting at the CEO, because even if he's not the right person, he's going to go, hey Jane, Jane's my CMO. Can you please speak to Jane? Jane, please speak to Will. And then it becomes her job to speak to me, right? And she has to speak to me, rather than she can say no very, very easily, but it's it's hard for her to say yes if I'm approaching her directly. But if her CEO comes and goes, hey, can you speak to Will? She can't say no. It's part of her job now. Does that make sense? Cool. Second point is getting the offer right. So, have you got the right offer for your market? How do you message that? How do you tell her that? Third step is automate the sending of it. So you don't want to be there every single day typing out 20 email addresses, 50 email addresses, then following up and all that kind of stuff. So I'll take you through some of the software we use to automate this, but also personalize this at scale. So I'll show you guys how we do that. And the last step is we test, improve, and repeat. We test subject lines, copy that we write, images that we use. We test every single thing that we can to make sure our numbers are going up and going the right way. And that is our process. So that's, in a nutshell, at a very high level, what we actually do. So now I'm going to start going into a little bit deeper in, the templates, how we do it, how, software we use, stuff like that. You guys ready? Cool. Now, I tricked you because I'm still talking about principles. So 2 more slides on principles, because it's really important to understand this before we dive any deeper. But the underlying principles of what we think about when we look at cold emails is, have we got these 3 things, right? So the most important here is, what is the value? Have we got a value proposition in there for our clients or for our leads? The second one we like is social proof. So if I've got a case study in a similar market, you betcha I'm going to be hammering that case study, right? Social proof showing them that we're legit, that we've been around, and we understand them and their business. And the third, if you can fit it in, is to have a sense of humor. Because no one likes reading boring corporate emails. Some of the emails we send, I've got GIFs in there of puppy dogs asking for people to reply and stuff like that. So we take a very informal approach, but when you combine all 3 of those things, you get some pretty astronomical reply rates. Cool. So that's first principle and 3 legs to the stool. And then the second principle, which I kind of touched on, is have more than 1 email. So I'm going to run through this quickly. I straight up copied this, guys, off a blog run by An Email Finder, which is a software piece in the email space. So I straight up copied this. Don't hate. I've quoted them. Should be all good. So when you get the first email, typically, right, if someone sends you a cold email, typically, your first reaction is, WTF is, I don't know you, I don't know what you're about. This might be spam email. I'm not reading this shit, right? Angry rock. Second email is, oh man, this guy's emailing me again. Where is the unsubscribe button? Like, goddamn, come on, man. Third email, you persistent little bastard. It sounds kind of vaguely relevant. I've actually opened it this time. I've had a read of it. It sounds vaguely relevant, but can't be bothered. Don't know you from bar of soap, whatever. Fourth email is like, man, I wonder what this guy looks like. I bet he's got just a punchable face, right? I'll Google him. And I'll Google you. He does look like a persistent little bastard. And then, oh, wait. Oh, so that's what his company does. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Next email is, oh, it's El Bastardo again. Well, credit where credit's due. He just doesn't give up. Nice. Respect. I respect that, right? I've actually got a question for him, but, I'm not going to answer him just yet. I'll reply next week when I get time, when I can be bothered. Next one after that is, Kev, come and check this guy out. I've been getting like 1,000 emails from him, but his product and service actually looks okay. Like, do you want to have a chat to this guy and see what he can do? Right? So maybe not typical, but this is what can be happening. So that's why we never send just one email. Make sense, guys? Rocks in there, so it has to make sense. So when you nail both principles, so the three legs of the stool and the follow-up, you kind of start getting results like this. So number one, as you guys can see on here, it's actually an email sequence that we ran into, for one of our clients, into the Dream 20. So enterprise, huge accounts, including Flight Centre, just really, really big companies. So we got an open rate of 95% on the emails that we sent, and 62% replied back to them. They got 5 demos with some of the biggest companies in Australia from this email sequence. Yeah. Next one is actually one of I classify it as a failed sequence, is one of mine. But even though I think it's a fail, we've still got about a 60% open rate, 8% reply rate. And the third one is another one I seem to do better for my clients than I do for myself. Is another client email, 90% open rate, 35% response rate. And the average that we do is about 80% open rate, 30% response rate. So that's kind of what I'm going to show you guys, or the templates I'm going to show you is kind of responsible for these stats. Cool? Ready to see the templates? Yeah, that's what you guys are here for, right? So this is the long template that we ran. So this one was responsible, I think, for the one at the bottom that got him into the kind of corporates. It's a little bit longer, but when you're selling into these companies, which are getting bombarded every single day, it pays to take a little bit longer to build the value, to build the story, and to kind of tell a little bit more value. So I'm not sure if you guys can read that properly. I'll break it down. So we immediately start off with a very funny introduction. So I've said things like, in the past, I've actually said, hey Bob, got some really bad news for you, man. It's a cold email off the internet. Ooh, right? I'll call out the fact I'm cold emailing them, I'll make it funny, and then I'll transition into what I got to say. So then I'm like, hey, it's a bit out of left field. Obviously, he hasn't heard from us. He doesn't know who we are. So of course, it's coming out of left field. But I'll just, kind of nice little segue. So I was just wondering if you've got these same issues that I'm seeing with other companies in your industry. Now we've been talking to to your competitors in the market, and one of the things that kept coming up was this specific pain. So you've got to, that's why I said start with the industry, because you've got to know their language, their pain points, what they're thinking day in, day out. Yeah? So, hey, we've been talking to these other companies in your market. One of the things that kept coming up was this specific pain. Now, I've got a few ideas that could help you, move you guys away from the pain, if you're seeing it as well, and we'll be more than happy to share how your competitors have actually overcome it with just a few changes. Now, here's the other thing, right? A lot of people in the cold emails ask for too much. So they ask for a half-an-hour phone call, the 1-hour phone call. All I'm asking for here is, hey, can I give you some ideas? If you say yes, all I'm going to do is take 10 minutes over the phone. That's it. I want to make it low resistance. I don't want them to be formal. I don't want them to have to open up the calendars and book a time in and find the time that they're free, because that's what's going to cause friction, and it's going to kill the reply rate. So I'm just asking for a 10-minute quick email here. Now, guys, later on, I'm going to show you how to convert these into a longer pitch and how to sell. But typically on a cold email, we'll only ask for a very small commitment or a very small ask. Does that make sense? Cool.
Are you usually attaching something to that?
I'll talk to that afterwards. No, for the first email, we don't. And because it comes back to, if you attach images, links, different colors and stuff, it kills your email deliverability. So we don't, not on the first email. I even stripped the image out of my email signature. So that is, for us, a corporate email that got us into, and 90% of people opening the emails, 62% reply rate. Cool. The second one is a little bit shorter. So it goes, this is a very social proof heavy campaign. So how we got your competitors X results. So hey Bob, hey Jane, hey Bob, Jane, Team Art. Funny intro, again, you come up with something. I'm just going to cut to the chase. We've been working with your competitors in the market. We've got them this pretty cool result. So recently, we helped them expand on the result. Use numbers if you can, real figures, real case studies. Now, I've got some ideas that might work for your company as well. So if you're looking to solve a pain, or if you're looking to get similar results to what your competitors are doing, if you're looking to not get left behind by your competitors, I've got a quick case study that might benefit you guys. Can I send it your way? See, very low friction ask. This one is a little bit different because then you've got to go through and actually get them on a call after you send them stuff. So it's a mix of like an email campaign to a certain point, and then you might just have to pick up the phone and call them. But we won't get into the technical side of this from now. But both these long and short email sequences have got really, really great results. So the third one is, so we've got them to say yes, right? We've sent emails, written up the template, everything's good. They come through and they say, yeah, sure, I've got 10 minutes to talk to you. Or, yeah, sure, send me a case study. What do we do now? This is the point where people freak out and go, holy crap, someone said yes, man, I've made it. Just start counting your money, doing that. Not yet, right? One more step behind that. Because even though they said yes to an email, they haven't said yes to your company, to you, to your product. Yeah? So here's what we do after someone says yes to our emails and how we convert them into a sale. So people focus way too much on the emails, but sales is actually where it's at. And this was very hard for me to understand because I come from an IT background. Before I started Growth Labs, I've been in IT my whole life, and I hated talking to people, wasn't good at it, was really bad talking on the phone. Even my wife was like, just never talk to me on the phone, just text me, because you're that bad on the phone. So sales was the most difficult thing for me to overcome in this journey of mine. But I've come up with a process that makes it more comfortable for me, makes it more comfortable for my leads, and also gives us some pretty good conversion rates. So as fun as it is to get yeses on emails, it's more fun to get yes, here's my credit card, you can pay your bills this month. And again, most people go from an email into a straight pitch. Can I have 30 minutes? In the 30 minutes, I'm just going to blind you with why you need our services. Cool, no, you're not interested? I can't imagine why. Don't you guys love being pitched every single day? So here's how we roll. So we send the email. We get a response. Okay, I've got 10 minutes for you. Call me tomorrow after 3 p.m. for 10 minutes. Awesome. On that 10-minute call, now, when it comes to sales, we qualify as many leads as we can in terms of can we work for them, can we get the results for them as they qualify us, right? So if they're not the right type of company that we want to work for, if there's anything wrong, if we don't like the sound of the guy over the phone, as bad as it seems, but there's difficult customers, which is a whole other topic, but if there's things that they don't tick the box on, then we won't actually take them through to the next step. So we won't even pitch them. Right? So our process is, we believe so much in our product that we guarantee our results, but at the same time, we know that there's companies that we just can't work with, that we just can't get results for. So why waste everyone's time going through a half an hour to an hour pitch if you're not serving them? That's self-serving, that's not serving the client. So we approach it from the angle of how can we serve people at every single interaction. So we go through to a 10 to 15 minute call where we find out all about them, tell them a little bit about our services, and if they like what they hear, if they like the way we're approaching their problem, then we ask, hey, can we sit down with you for a little bit longer, 45 minutes to an hour? And that's when we actually go into well, I say pitch mode, but consulting mode, figuring out if our solution actually matches their problem. Does that make sense? Cool. And then obviously it's only after that we go, hey, can we get married? Can you give me money now? All right, so we don't jump to this straight from, we don't jump to a pitch straight from a cold email. We don't jump to asking them to marry us straight from a phone call, a first phone call. Cool? Now, here's the numbers behind that. Now, guys, I might be Asian, but I'm really bad at maths. So if these numbers aren't right, or figure it out for yourselves. So let's just say that we're sending 400 emails a month. We've got a positive reply rate of 5%, meaning 20 initial phone calls. After 20 initial phone calls, we're not going to qualify every single person. They're not going to qualify us. We'll move it into 15 actual pitches from the 20 quick phone calls. And of the 15, if we can, if you're selling a $2,000 product, if you can close even 30% of that, you've made $10,000 a month. Now, why 10,000? because a lot of people seem to think 10,000 a month is pretty cool. Just a round number that's easy to use. But does that all make sense? The flow, the numbers? Yep, awesome. So guys, when you get a system like that working, right? So I know I've shown you some of the examples of my own cold emails, but these are guys that have come through. We've helped them write the cold emails. We helped train them up on everything. And here's the type of results that you can get, and it's not exclusive to us. So Ian was working with a business partner of mine on cold emails. He sent out the first batch and immediately got a $5,000 sale. James started with us in the first 2 weeks. Again, he's from an IT background, so again, very bad at sales or closing out sales. In the first 2 weeks, did $2,500 in sales. And Josh sent out his first ever cold emails, trying to get into the consulting space, and got pretty cool replies first time round. So, with all that being said, guys, just to summarize the 3 steps. So, first step, make sure you know how cold email works, understand the principles, the things you need in the cold email, the fact you've got to follow up. Second of all, went through the templates, so obviously craft your own, take what's there, but craft your own, right? We send a whole bunch of cold emails every single month for ourselves and for our clients. I guarantee you guys, if you straight up copy those templates, the business is going to come back and go, hang on, we got this email from someone else last month. What are you guys doing? So craft your own. Put your own funny one-liners in there. Do whatever you got to do. And 3, have a solid sales process in place to convert leads into clients. So you might not follow my process, but have some kind of idea of what you want to do once someone says yes to your emails. Cool? And one last but very important thing is, just because I'm talking about cold emails now, understand that as you grow, it's not just about the cold emails. So here's our actual lead generation numbers in a breakdown. So 40% of leads we get every single month is cold email. We then get 30% for Facebook ads and funnels. There are 2 things that we do really well, Facebook and emails. And then the rest are either from referrals or from doing live events that we put on or sponsor or whatever it is. So while I've talked a lot about cold emails, if you're starting out and you're limited on time and you're limited on budget, start the cold emails, but always have the long-term game plan in the back of your mind, right? So I might start with cold emails until we're at $50,000 a month recurring revenue, and then I'm going to transition into Facebook ads as well. Make sense? Cool. I'm not sure how long we've got for questions, or we're going to do it is that a question box?
Up to 5 questions. So who has a question for Will? It's a catch box. So.
That's cool.
Hello? Is it on?
Just talk. I'll repeat the question for the room.
Yeah, all good. Okay. You said at the start about sending the email to the right person.
Yeah.
How do you get the right email from the right people?
So it gets technical. So I'm going to try and break it down as little as with at least technical stuff as I can. So we get it from mass sources. We automate as much as we can. So we go to places like LinkedIn. We go to places like Google. I've got virtual assistants and programs that scrapes Google. I hope the recording's not on. This kind of against the terms of service. So LinkedIn scraping, Google scraping, anywhere that we can find the leads. Yelp, things like that. We've got bots that kind of do most of the work. We run it through a program that finds most of the emails for us. And then I've got a whole team of virtual assistants who have a manual process of finding everyone that we missed for the programs. Does that make sense?
A little bit. It's just a bit over my head, but...
Yeah, it looked... that's the reason why I didn't talk about it. Well, we've got a whole flow chart of what happens when. Okay. But there's programs out there that can really easily help you get a whole bunch of leads really, really quickly. Yeah. And you plug it into another set of programs, and it'll turn 50% of those leads into an actual email. And then you verify the emails before you send it, which is like you have to, and then you send the emails off. So I can send you guys some information about that later on, but it gets a bit technical. I don't want to go into details here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, automate as much as you can.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Which one?
Still correct.
How would you change this to work B2C?
So B2C, I look at channel partners, or I look at who's already selling to my market, and then how do I form a relationship with them via cold email. So I'm not going to go B2C directly. So, do you mind if I talk about your business for a little bit?
It's okay.
It's okay. So as far as I understand, what you do, you put people in contact with the right psychologists,
yes.
right? So these people now, before they go to the psychologist, typically what's the step beforehand?
50% of cases, they'll visit a GP first.
So then your cold email is, hey, I've got a service where I'm putting patients who need the right psychologist in touch with the perfect psychologist for them. You're a GP, you see these problems before they even know they need a psychologist. Can we form some kind of relationship where I'm helping your audience, right? And you get some kind of benefit as well. So for your market, you might not go directly into people, because no one wants to get an email saying, hey, have you got mental issues? I wouldn't do that. But if you go into GPs, right? If you said that to me, I'd say, yeah, I'll do it. If you said that to a GP, with a benefit into it, they might just go, that sounds like a cool service. I know my patients might need something like this. As long as it works for everybody, why don't we have a chat and why don't we build a relationship?
Great.
Make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
So what do you use to send your emails, and how do you avoid the whole, do you remove the whole, unsubscribe link? Because you're obviously, sending to, a large list, and then obviously if you use things like MailChimp or whatever else, they have the, you're part of this list, unsubscribe kind of thing.
Yeah, so our quantity is actually very small. Because of our response rates, we don't send a lot of emails. That being said, though, the programs that we use, so one program I really like, and I'm very biased because the founder's a very good friend of mine, is QuickMail. So the reason why I like QuickMail a lot is because Jeremy, the founder, is on top of the service stuff. So if one person's abusing a service, it can affect everyone else using that service. So QuickMail is awesome at cashing that out and getting those guys off the platform really quickly. The other one we're trialing now is Mailshake. So that's a little bit cheaper. Doesn't have all the features that QuickMail does, but that seems to be a good service as well. We're only starting to trial that. It seems to be okay.
What about the whole, you're part of this list, unsubscribe, all that kind of stuff?
So we make it funny. I make it a joke. So hey, if you don't want to hear from me, here's a link you can click. Dude, I'm going to go cry in the corner, to be honest with you, but hey, at least I'll stop emailing you. Do you want to click the link, or do you want to just send me an email back saying unsubscribe? Yeah, don't make it hard for them to unsubscribe, because the email is a qualification process too. It's a mass market qualification process. You only want to be speaking to the leads who need your service and who are interested in hearing from you. Yeah.
So I'm getting a lot of emails now with GIFs, videos, all these different mediums. I'm sure you've experimented with all these. What are you seeing has been the most effective?
Are they warm emails from companies you subscribe to, or cold emails?
Cold.
Cold emails.
They're gifting me, yeah.
They're gifting you. And is it on the first email, or is it further down the sequence?
Usually further down.
Yeah, further down's okay. The first email that we send out in the sequence, typically we try and minimize all that kind of stuff, because as soon as you open it, then it says to I think, I'm not a tech guy. Tech guys come back to you and tell you about that, but I think as soon as you open it and the server acknowledges it's been opened, it's not so much spam, right? So by the fifth email, if you do have a GIF, we send a lot of pictures, right? We've got one email in the sequence where it's we don't even picture anything, we just send a really funny photo or a really funny picture. And that gets an awesome open rate. But that's only further down the sequence.
And what about using retargeting as well? So you're going to try and get them to click to go to a landing page of sorts so you can hit them up other ways? Do you think that's effective?
We're playing smaller numbers in terms of the email list. So we're only sending 20 emails a day. Trying to get them to click and do the retargeting stuff, it takes a long time to scale up. Once the camera's off, I'll tell you what to do to get around that. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and LinkedIn spam me, Facebook spam me, and be like, oh crap.
Yeah, we'll do one last question.
Do you use the same subject line in all the emails, or do you change it?
No, we change it. Every single client that we write a subject line for, it's specific to their business, their results, their pain point.
When you're doing an automatic follow-up, do you...
Oh, different. Every single email is different. Every single subject line between my sequences are different. Yep.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Will.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right. So it was a great talk. So we'll have a 5-minute break, and then after we'll hear the story about Shipit. So after the cold email, now we're going to listen to Rob and Will that have started Shipit a few years ago, and now that are running over 3 million shipping. They're tell us the story about how it started with a vacuum cleaner and how they're ending up getting so many orders every day through their platform. So that's going to be very interesting. Who has heard of Shipit here before? Yeah? Great. So they won like the StartCon a few years ago, and so today they're going to talk to us about their story. So big applause for Rob and Will from Shipit, please.
I'm working. Amazing.
Thanks very much. All right. Hi, everyone. How are we? Second talk of the night. We'll make sure we make it a little bit entertaining. So it's hard to beat Will Wang. But we've got another Will. He's Will On. So
It's another good porn star name.
yeah, he's always on too. So unrelated, we've got. We actually had a little story about cold email marketing as well. So you always got to give it a bit of a lash. One of our guys once sent an email out to about 600 contacts with the subject line "No bueno," and basically criticised the shipping policy of a website. So suffice to say, we got a fair few angry emails back. But you never know if you never give it a shot. But it is a very effective medium. So we wanted to talk about how a vacuum cleaner led to a $10 billion opportunity. So it was $7 billion, but the market grew, and now it's a $10 billion market. So there's some growth marketing for you. So I'm Rob. This is Will. This is our gritty Surrey Hills milk crate photo from when we started the business, taken on an iPhone and using a lot of press shots. That box is not a real box, but we are real people in real jeans. I'll let Will introduce himself.
Hi everyone, I'm Will. I have known Rob for 15 years this year. So first day of uni. Yeah, our eyes locked.
Across the room.
We actually went to UNSW and did BIT, Business IT. We kicked ourselves for not joining Atlassian when we finished uni.
Who'd join a startup after uni,
We wanted
right?
to do the IBM,
Yeah.
PwC thing. On that, my background is more in technology advisory. So I spent 10 years doing management consulting at Deloitte and PwC, primarily running teams to build products and apps and stuff like that. So cut my teeth in retail banking and basically got that stuff done at at these companies.
Yeah, so when I finished uni, I didn't really want to get into IT. I hated tech, so I went into consumer goods. I worked for Procter & Gamble for 5 years, and then I moved to Unilever. Worked there for a few years, figured out how to market to people, how to understand people, human behavior, what we call UX, and that kind of stuff now. And basically, we were deep in our full-time jobs, 10 years in. You know, we're doing all right, earning a bit of coin, and all of a sudden, Will ordered a Dyson.
I did order a Dyson. This is a true story. So I just moved into a new house out in the western suburbs of Sydney, and I purchased on the now defunct Masters. I don't know if you guys know Masters. A Dyson that was half price. Thank God for that.
Good bargain.
Yeah,
last
good
one.
bargain. I'm always on the hunt for the bargains, and we'll talk about that later. But basically, what had happened was I bought this Dyson at half price, and they delivered it to my house, and I was at work at the time, and they gave me a call and said, "Hey guys, I've got this Dyson for you." And I said, "Just leave it out the back. You can walk around the back and leave it there." And they said to me, "No, sorry, we can't do that." And I was like, "Why can't you do that? I'm giving you authority right now." And basically, what had happened was,
How many people have had that happen to them before? Like a crappy delivery experience? Come on, more than that. How many of you had to go to the post office, got a missed delivery card? How much does that piss you off? Hand right up. Pissed us off enough to start a business and quit our jobs, right?
well, that's what Rob does every Saturday. So-
Every Saturday. And literally, I went to the post office yesterday to pick up a parcel.
And they wouldn't leave it there. And I said, "What are the options?" And the options they gave me were, A, we can re-deliver it to you. And I said, "Okay, what are the options there?" They said 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Well, I'm clearly in this problem, right? And they said, "Well," I asked for weekends, and they said, "No, sorry, we don't do weekends. Can I go pick it up?" "No, we can't pick it up." And they said, "Oh, but we'll re-deliver it to you. And we'll re-deliver it anywhere you are in Sydney for free." And I was like, hang on, bit of an issue there. There's a bit of like inefficiency in the market somewhere, because the courier driver doesn't want to re-deliver it. Someone else is paying for it, and I'm not paying for it. And effectively, it got redelivered to my PwC mailroom, which was a 2x2 meter box, right? So I walked down to the mailroom and they said, "What are you doing?" It's literally a massive box. And they said, "Why are you getting this Dyson delivered here?" And basically, I had to drive my car to the city, which was a massive inconvenience for me. And ultimately, like asking a few more questions to the mailroom guy, they said, "Yeah, our biggest incoming mail or parcels are ASOS. It's not anything to do with work." So I said, "Hey, Rob, there's a problem here."
Cracker. I had about 5 delivery slips I had to go and pick up. Had no idea what I was picking up. I had a little delivery slip in the post box. I'm thinking it's something really amazing, and it was actually just a legal document which got delivered to me, and I waited at the post office for about 10 minutes to find out. So why did it happen? And that's what kind of got us scratching our heads. So over a beer we started talking about this, and we got really fired up. So the very next day we're like, we've got to do something about this. Yeah, we looked eyes, we've got to do something about this. Yep,
Those
cool.
first looks, first day of uni.
So what we found was that there was a lack of communication, a lack of flexibility in terms of being able to reroute a delivery, and a lack of feedback that actually killed the delivery. And that's because this is, or was, the tracking experience of the day. So I had bought an Apple Watch, and that was the tracking experience from the best masters of user experience in the world, Apple, on an iPhone. Not optimized for iPhone, and when you really zoom in and read that detail, it actually gives you no information, can't do anything with it. So you've got to anxiously wait by your front door for this delivery that may or may not come, or walk away for 10 minutes and miss the delivery. So this lack of communication, this lack of transparency, this lack of flexibility and lack of feedback leads to customer frustration. Customer frustration in turn leads to an e-commerce market which is not going to grow. Cha-ching, big opportunity. And that's because more often than not, looking at deliveries is a little bit like looking into the matrix. And what we need to do is actually figure out a human-centered or human-oriented way to talk about delivery, and actually educate not only the recipient, not only the courier, but also the merchant. And they're really who pays our bills. So introducing Shipit, I'll get my esteemed team to play the video. All right, that's the boring stuff over. Fun fact about that video. How much would you pay for that video? 5 grand? 10 grand? 20? Keep your hand up in the air when I hit your number, put it down. So 10 grand? 20 grand? 30 grand? 40 grand? Yeah, I've got a video. I can make a video for you. 40 grand, no problem. So that's the best arbitrage in the world. Do you know how much we paid for that? 5. And do you know how we paid 5 grand for that? One of Will's mates, or a guy that he worked with, actually ran a freelance video production company. He knew the guys that took videos for like Rufus. Are you familiar with Rufus, the electronica band? Anyway, people in that video, one of them was a dude who was working in our office, who I asked to put on a Couriers Please shirt. Not a real courier, couldn't drive a real van. The van, donated by Couriers Please for a case of beer. The handbag that the model was using was actually my bag that I brought in tonight. Not a handbag, a man bag. The tracked vehicle on the phone was actually a mocked up GIF. What else was in that video? Oh, the Academy brand. One of our customers used their store for free. Really pissed the guy off because we spent all day in his store. And the actual box was a favour called in by a friend of mine who printed a sheet of vinyl that I wrapped around an archive box I bought from Officeworks.
5 grand.
5 grand. And we returned the Dymo labeler to Officeworks. That's okay, that's okay. But hey, she got paid. The actor got paid. So that was kind of the first step to growth hacking. So we launched Shipit, and Shipit was doing abysmally for the first few months, and then things started to pick up. And this is our order processing volume on platform month to month. And you can kind of see the growth rate up until the end of last year. We haven't updated the chart because we haven't been bothered, but that's kind of where we're at. So we're now processing over 500,000 bookings a month on the platform. And that number is growing at around 10 to 20% month on month. We now power Australia's biggest retail brands. So we count Topshop, we count Glue, Uniqlo, General Pants, Q's, Sephora, Harvey Norman Athlete's Foot, Chic, Pet Circle, City Beach, Veronica Main, Temple Webster, and a whole bunch of others as our clients. And we actually also appeal to small to medium business owners. But it didn't really start with the enterprise customer. It didn't start there at all. It actually started really, really grassroots. And that's what we want to talk about.
So Rob had this really flashy pack earlier, and I said, well, it's not really going to appeal to the audience. I said to him, we actually need to show some real grassroots stuff that we did. And I mean, our journey has been pretty quick. So we've done this in 3 years. Our first SID start, which Albert mentioned earlier, we won that 3 years ago when there was only 2 of us in a room. And we've now got 35 people. And basically what we wanted to do in this talk was basically walk through all the different tactics that we kind of did to A, save money, to B, basically get as much reach as possible, find as many customers as possible, and basically push for bang for buck. And that's effectively why we've been able to get to where we are today. So in the beginning, as a management consultant, we did the basic stuff, right? We actually spent 7 months figuring out what the problem domain was. So before jumping into technology, before figuring out user stories and all that stuff, we did the basic stuff first. We hit the pavements, we spoke to 50 retailers, courier companies, everyone. And basically what we quickly realized was you need to speak to people about your secret idea as soon as possible, because it's these people that are going to tell you whether or not you've got a shot in hell or not. So we did the basic market sizing stuff, and it was very simple. E-commerce, right? So we know e-commerce is booming 12% CAGR year on year, and it is really fueling this whole parcel delivery network. And effectively, if you look at all the courier companies that exist today, they're built for delivering things to buildings, B2B. Then you've got this e-commerce thing coming in the last 15 years, and it's ramming itself into a B2B type industry. So that's what we figured out that we really need to try and fix, because you had old school courier companies working with new school retailers. So Jane from Shoppo does not care about how couriers please deliver something, right? And that's what we figured out at the start.
So when we first started, we didn't have anything. What we did have was vaporware. How many of you have started your own business? How many work for a startup? Okay, cool. So most often every story starts with vaporware. So we started very basically. So once we had the idea, once we spoke to these 50 people, we had this dodgy presentation deck, and we're like, probably need to do something here on the branding front. So a few glasses of wine and a very late night, I pulled out my Photoshop. I jumped onto Theme Forest. I bought a domain off GoDaddy. We jumped on WordPress, and for basically under $200 to $300, we had a website. We had what looked like an app prototype, which was little more than just a flat image on a phone, PSD. We had about 6 different designs on 99 Designs that we sent around to our friends to vote on the best design on our logo, which we still use today, which I'm very proud of. It cost us $249. Sorry, designers. My wife is a designer, was very angry with me for that one. We used Odesk at the time, which is now Upwork. Sorry, Freelancer. I mean, Freelancer is amazing. If you use it, use Freelancer. We borrowed a mate's office. So Suite 44, what was that, Will?
Yeah, it was one of my mate's offices down in Piedmont, and we basically asked him for 2 seats.
And we shared 1 seat, basically, yeah. So we had 2 seats at 1 desk. We made our own business cards, went down to Officeworks, got them printed out in really low quality cardboard stock. They were shit. Very embarrassing every time we handed them out, but that's how we started. I mean, humble beginnings, but basically it meant that we could show up. And when you show up, you've got a business. You don't need to have a business to show up like you have a business, yeah? So that's how we started. So total investment to date, $300.
Mm-hmm.
Spending wisely. We had the option. So we came up with this great freaking brand name, but we didn't have a business. It was $3,499. Holy shit, what are we going to do? No, we're not going to spend that much money. Will says, why don't we just put a go in the front of it? $10. Immediate saving of $3,489. Amazing, let's buy it. So goshipit.com was our first website. We had spent a lot of our time actually defining what Shipit was going to be. So it was going to be this amazing app. It's going to have a consumer app like PayPal. It's going to be the passport of shipping. We're going to have a driver app because we're going to recruit drivers. We're going to have this shopping cart integration. We're going to have this dashboard, analytics, all this amazing shit.
And then I came in.
And then Will came in.
No. So I went and did the consulting thing again, and I got all our requirements and shipped them around. I went to every digital agency there was in Sydney, basically, and we RFP'd it like a standard RFP process. We had quotes for like 300 grand or 200 grand, and we looked at each other, can't afford 300 grand. But we found a group, Sentia. I don't know if has anyone heard of Sentia? They're a Ruby on Rails house. And basically, I got Rob's grand plans, and I cut them down. And effectively, what we delivered was MVP at best.
Yeah, actually, Sentia pushed us on this and said, you don't need the driver app, you don't need a whole bunch of shit. This is what you need. You can do it for 40 grand. You need the other stuff, it's 40 grand a pop. And so we're like, yeah, cool, we trust you, it's cheap, let's do it. But before that, we did try the India route, we tried the Russia route, we were on late night Skype calls, we just looked at each other and went, nah.
So we were working at the same time, by the way. So
we needed somebody who's in Sydney, white to the eyeballs, can talk to, can actually haul over the coals if they're not delivering on time. And conveniently, I was based in Park Street in the city, Will was based in Sussex Street, and they were based in Clarence Street, smack bang in the middle. So
we spent our lunch
perfect,
times, basically.
Yep. So 40K, let's rock and roll. Not that it only cost us 40 in the end. And then as we were starting up, I think there's this like perception that the press would just talk about you, right? How many of you, like, you're doing this amazing thing, the press is going to find out, they're just going to start talking about you because you're amazing. Not true. So, and then the next thing is, oh, let's find a list, let's hack it, let's like send them a press release, let's write it, let's ship it in there. No. Not going to get much out of that. You might get one chance article in Startup Daily if it's a slow news day, but how you're really going to get the heavy hitting articles in the AFR, in the Australian, in the SMH Consumer Press, it's a PR agency. How many of you invest in PR? Okay, cool. 2, invest in PR. It's really expensive, but it's really friggin' worth it.
I think on that, like, it's really easy to pay a retainer to a PR agency and just let them go and do what they want. Like, what we really focused on was activity-based work. So very similar to like cold calling and all that kind of stuff. Like cold calling results is all resultant from activity. So more calls, more results. So basically what we told the agency was more releases. Just go hard at releases.
Yeah, so we were kind of one of the first businesses that worked with the PR agency and said, what's your weekly action plan? And they kind of looked at us and went, don't worry, we'll have a few chats, we'll figure something out. No, what's your weekly action plan? How many headlines are we getting? Okay, these are the headlines we want, how are we getting them? How many articles, how many journos have you spoken to? Week on week, stand-ups, you name it, push them. The other thing is 7K retainer, who's going to pay that a whole year? Not me, not Will. So what we said was, we're going to start out, we'll do 3 months, we'll see how we go, and then if we really want to keep things going, we'll invest for the full year. We did 3 months and we switched it right off.
It all comes down to discipline. So forcing them to do what you want to do, which is activity-based work. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So we spent 15K on PR in 3 months, and I reckon it was the best 15K we ever spent because it got us some really good headlines. You know, in the beginning, we had a few curveballs that got thrown at us. So people saying, oh, I visited shipit.com.au and it's not you. And we found out that there was a shipit.com.au. So we looked at it, it was a shitty website. So it was pretty embarrassing. People were like hearing about Shipit. Firstly, they had to remember 2 Ps and then they had to find us. And then they were going .com.au and finding a shitty piece of software that wasn't us.
And then we who-ised them and we found out who that person was. And they said, yeah, sure, 40 grand, the cost of our build.
Yeah, so we ignored that problem. And it might come back to bite us, but we've ignored it and we continue to ignore it. Then we get an SMS from one of our mates. Hey, have you seen this shipit.click thing? And it was 1p. And we're like, what? So that really pissed us off. And Will's like, we've got to change the brand name. And we actually took a step back and thought, well...
No, you did. You took a step.
I took a step back. Will didn't. Will was like, yeah, we'll call ourselves like Parcel Monkey or Parcel Ship, yeah, something, whatever. Who cares about the
Switch
brand?
Beast.
Switch Beast, whatever. Turnley, Switchly. I love Switchly. No. Nothing beats something that's synonymous with the industry you're in. So we're like, Shipit is the name. And 2 P's because there's 2 P's in shipping. So it's Shipit. And that's what created a bit of a point of difference to us. So the Shipit.clickers were actually known as Shipit, who's a competitor of ours. And when we saw this, we were clever enough to actually trademark our name when we bought the domain name. Because IP law, I could frickin' talk for hours about that, but all you need to know is if you've got a brand name, trademark it as soon as you can. It's worth the money. So all we did is send them a cease and desist letter to not use our name anymore, and they had to change all their marketing collateral. There's still a little bit of confusion in market, but we just AdWords the shit out of that, and we're all right. We got our own cease and desist letters in the early days as well. So we were going up against a pretty big competitor known as Tamando. Have you heard of Tamando? Anyone? Aussie success story in the logistics industry, 10 years in the making, just exited for 150 mil to a European postal company. We had the CEO of that business in our office this afternoon having a good casual chat. But in the early days, obviously the easiest way to educate the market is to buy up AdWords on your competitor, right? Does anyone do that? You don't have to educate them what a shipping platform is, you know, what you do, listen to me. And we got a cease and desist letter because we're using their brand name in vain, but that's fine. We moved on. We also realized that selling your why is so much more important than selling your what. How many of you sell your what? Or who sells their why? Everybody knows that sort of, it's not what you do, it's why you do it. Yeah?
Simon Sinek. Has
Simon
anyone seen
Sinek.
that?
Great chat. If you haven't seen it, it's long overdue. You need to watch it. It's like 10 years old now, so get it done. Basically, it's this 3 concentric circles. So when we started, it's like, well, yeah, our software, I guess, it automates fulfillment and logistics for a business to save them time, right? Like, that's a really good benefit. Well, we've got a really sexy UX, and it's really easy to use. You know, you should use us. What we found was really compelling is we actually are talking about anxiety and how destructive that is for your business. And when you start talking about that, it's very emotive. You can't walk away from that. You can't compare a business that automates your fulfillment to a business that actually reduces anxiety for your customers. And that's what we found was really the sweet spot for our marketing communications and helped us growth hack in a sense, because you're trying to go for memorability and you're trying to steal attention or basically grab your fair share of attention. And that's really what helped us start from a very early point in our journey, because we would get up at forums that we got invited to talk at and basically talk about not what our software did, but about the domain problem. And that problem was the anxiety of Will's vacuum cleaner delivery.
I'd overlay the fact that when we're selling to businesses, even to this day, it's that why piece and tying it back to that vacuum cleaner story. Australian businesses have this knack for going for the underdog, right? You've got massive companies out there, and it's me and Rob, even to this day, with enterprise clients, sitting in front of them, telling them about that vacuum cleaner story. And at the end of the day, what they do is they have this affinity, they know who you are, and you can empathize with them, or they can empathize with you on a personal level. That's how we really sell the why as well.
Absolutely.
So, importantly, on our platform, there's 2 sides of the marketplace. There's the demand side, which is orders through the system, so retailers. And there's also supply side, which are courier companies and people doing deliveries. Back then, pre-Uber Rush, pre-Zoom2You, Sherpa, all those platforms, is anyone familiar with these crowdsourced delivery platforms? So there's bucket loads of them out there, right? But me and Rob were like, you know what? We're not going to stand in front of the airport and hand out cards to people to say, hey, sign up to this platform and drive for us if there's no demand. So what we started to focus on was really try and get as many customers through the door, and the supply will follow suit. So effectively, you know that there's a massive supply. People will come and join your platform when you've got shitloads of demand.
Yeah, I think the basic question was, could you sell a product to a customer if you didn't have a product? Or could you sell to a courier, you've got a lot of work to do for me and I'm going to pay you a lot of money? And that was the deciding point for us. So focus on demand, and what that means is your product is focused on demand, acquisition is focused on demand, and it's all about a share of your own attention at that point in time as well. So we doubled down on demand.
So our customer, so going back to that 6-month process of why are we doing this, right? So we're doing time slot delivery from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So you go onto a website and effectively it will quote our system and you get time slots and you can choose one. And you can choose it on weekends as well. And what we thought about was, well, which types of customers are actually going to buy this product? And it was these high-end, expensive, home living type retailers. Rob, expert in that space.
Yeah, I've got very fancy taste, and I'm always buying blue Chesterfield couches in velvet. But basically, we decided that we'd go after high value, high emotive purchase items as the industry we would hack, right? So we're going to focus on that one very tiny niche and vertical, and that's going to create a business for us. So we figured out where they are.
So went to trade shows. So there's tons of trade shows out there, right? And Life in Style was a very big home living. They've got 700-800 retailers there. And what we decided to do was hit the ground and just ask people, like, do you want to use this platform? What do you think? Donuts.
Yeah, rookie era. Don't go to an expo where people are trying to sell and try and sell to them. They don't want to talk to you. Surprising, right? So, but we got a couple of keen people. We just picked up all the business cards. So this became a bit of a tradition in our first couple of years. So we found the Life in Style Sydney show, the Life in Style Melbourne show, the Life in Style Auckland show, whatever it was, the Reed Gift Fair, you name it. So these are people who have really expensive products and they want to ship them. And obviously they're doing a lot of sales at these gift fairs as well. So when they sell things, they need to ship things. So if they need to ship things, they need Shipit. And what we did the second year was we showed up digitally. And how you show up digitally is you get an expo list, you get it scraped through freelancer.com.au, and then you cold email, you cold call, you basically send a MailChimp campaign that is branded Shipit meets Life in Style and looks like the brand, and effectively it works because you're small enough that nobody cares. Then we also went door knocking at homemaker centres into small niche brands that could use our services to really understand the customer. And I can't overstate how important it is for a founder or somebody who is in a sales and marketing discipline to actually go and do the selling yourself. If you're not selling yourself, you have no idea what your customer wants and what the pitfalls of your sell is. So how can you scale that?
How can you expect people in your sales team to sell better than you? Right?
Yeah.
And then we started looking at platforms. So I said we were focused on demand, right? And we quickly realized that there's only a handful of e-commerce platforms out there. Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, etc. You can start up a retail store in about 5 minutes by going online right now, right? And effectively what we did was we decided to create a really simple plugin that connected itself into Shopify. And all we would do is grab all the orders out of those platforms and would run those orders through our system, and effectively our system would become an allocation engine and choose the best courier company. So our value proposition to the retailer is really simple. We're just going to save you a shitload of money by using many courier companies.
So if you think about our journey, we go, okay, people who sell couches, where are they? Okay, those people, or what technology they use? Okay, they use Shopify, they use Magento. Cool, so now we've got a niche within a niche within a niche, highly targeted. How do we get them? So we just started showing up, basically. So this was us in our early days. So the photo in the middle is Will and I, when it was just Will and I. On the left was when we had a few other people helping us out temporarily. But we just started locking ourselves in a room and calling. So jumping on websites, calling them, hey, you haven't heard of us, I'm going to save you money. You get a lot of hang-ups, a lot of rejection, day in, day out. But it wasn't cold email from the start. So cold email, I think, has a role later in the journey because you need to figure out what your sell is. We were figuring out what our sell is at this point in time. We also showed up at expos. So we found out through a contact that there are expos out there that you should go to. Oh, what's an expo? Cool.
And you've probably heard like LinkedIn, the most powerful platform, right? We literally found like the guy who did the iconic supply chain. Hey mate, can we please catch up? We've got this really cool idea to talk about. So caught up with him and he actually gave us tickets to this event down in Melbourne.
$3,000 a ticket, right? Got a free ticket because Will said, hey, can you get us a ticket? You're a sponsor. And I'm sitting there going, don't ask that. Gave us a ticket. So we got a ticket, we had to go. So I took a sick day from work and basically jumped on a plane, went to Melbourne and showed up. And I showed up with my vaporware in my pocket and I spoke to the Chief Digital Officer of Harvey Norman. And I showed them what we can do. And from that one fateful encounter, they ended up becoming our first Cornerstone Enterprise client, right?
And that was only 3 years ago. So
we also pitched at Tech 23 when we didn't have a product. And then we also pitched at SidStart, which is now known as StartCon, and we took out the Unicorn Trophy. So we kind of knew that we were onto something at that point in time.
And we also did Innovation Bay and a number of other like startup type conferences, which were awesome because it's, as I said to you guys at the start, it's about getting out there and just talking to people about your idea and letting them know like, hey, do you think this is a great idea? Because to be honest, like any more additional information that you can get is going to just be like powerful for you guys.
Yeah, validation or otherwise, right? And I think we showed up at one of those pitches and there was a journalist sitting in the audience, and the journalist wrote an article in the courier industry, quoted us, and we had 30 people hit our website that day and send us an inquiry.
30 people.
Which melted Will and I because we were in back-to-back meetings in our corporate jobs, and that was really a catalyst for us to jump out. Anyway, we'll speed this thing up, but basically what we found was there was this life stage hierarchy of needs as we were talking to these customers. So we started to profile them and go, okay, cool. There are kind of these small guys that are more like hobbyists. There's kind of a role for our platform, but it is all about price. And as it starts to move, there are a couple of inflection points, the dotted lines, and that's key growth segments within the retail market where their orders are starting to increase over the time they've been in market. And that for us became our sweet spot. So everything started centering in on furniture retailers, on Shopify or Magento in that growth phase, and you start refining your pitch. Now you're ready for cold email outreach, right? Now you know exactly who you're talking to. And then the bigger guys, the whales, have been in market for ages, and for them, it's all about customer experience. It's not about growth anymore. It's not about optimization. It is all about customer experience. So we converted that understanding. On the next slide, this slide is about getting more targeted. So what we did is we found Built With. Does anybody know Built With? Built With tells you what websites are built with. Amazing. Who's on Shopify? Who's on Magento? Built With has a list. Get the list. Send it up to freelancer.com. Get the email address, the right email address. Bring that back. Load it into MailChimp because you got permission, remember? You've met them through some type of Shopify event. And then you hit them up on LinkedIn and you give them a phone call. And then from there, you start to get a bit of business, refine your pitch, etc., etc. We ended up building a SaaS pricing model. So when we launched, we actually didn't even know really what SaaS was all about. We weren't launching a SaaS product. We were trying to solve a problem. The problem was missed deliveries, shitty delivery experiences. So we found out that people would actually pay for a software platform. So we introduced pricing. And as you see these pricing tiers, so Start talks to that little hobbyist right at the beginning of that curve that I showed earlier. Grow talks to inflection point 1. Unleash talks to inflection point 2. And the Shipit for high volume senders in the tab area talks to that enterprise customer, is all about customer experience. That's where the moolah is, and that's where we hide it. But that's how we ended up in SaaS.
So as Rob said earlier, we did get really controversial early on. Tomando, our biggest competitor, we bought up AdWords. Then we got our own cease and desist from them, and they weren't too happy. But effectively, they paved the way for us. They educated the entire market about this whole multi-carrier shipping thing. We still have no idea what that means, but they really paved the way there. And effectively, that kind of put our names in their radar to know, hey, we're around. The PR story. So Rob said earlier on that we did invest quite early on in PR, and I think it was a very perfect storm for us. This whole Amazon thing coming, everyone's shitting themselves. Oh my God, fast shipping, we need it. So we doubled down on the PR space, paying I think $5,000 a month or something like that on retainer. But as I said to you guys, like hold these guys to activity plans, because the worst thing that could happen is you're paying $5,000 a month and you just got nothing, right? So you want to know who they're talking to, what their channels are, what their outreach is, who the editors that they're talking to, show me some articles. And we've got some really cool stuff. Like we were on a current affair on a 5-10 minute like video about 3-hour delivery for Harvey Norman. A couple months ago, we're on the cover of the AFR just talking about this Amazon thing yet again. And it's very much due to Rob's strategy of be everywhere type marketing, right? You need to be at trade shows, you need to be talking to people, you need to have PR. So the more people hear about you, like it's just latent experience, or they're just thinking about you intrinsically.
Yeah. How many of you use LinkedIn for cold outreach or outreach in general? Yep. Awesome. So LinkedIn for cold outreach, I find it highly impersonal and highly intrusive. The way I like to do it is genuinely use the medium as it's intended. And Will and I have kind of been refining that over time, and it actually helps you amplify the PR that you get or anything that you do that is in a public space in a way that's meaningful for everyone you meet. So the very, very first principles of LinkedIn is connect with everybody you meet. So after this, everybody add me on LinkedIn. Rob Zada is my name on LinkedIn, William on. So add us, and then basically we'll come up in your feed every couple of weeks with a story. And I literally mean everyone that you meet, get them on LinkedIn. Post an uplifting story. Everybody likes positivity on LinkedIn. That medium is well suited for positive, uplifting stories. Add a personal touch to that. So this is Will's post. Will went with a very deep and emotive story. And that actually resonated with 693 people in the network. Within that network are all the high-profile retailers that we've met at previous trade shows. And this really gives you a sense of resonance with them. And the engagement on that post was quite high, 44 comments for LinkedIn, which is quite solid. And then, think about the skyscraper network tags. Does everybody know about the skyscraper technique? So you're kind of standing on the shoulders of other people. So find those mavens or those people that are really well known in industry. And if there's a relevant way to link them to your post, always tag them in your post as well, because it helps seed into their networks and those people start adding you to their network and away it goes. But be fucking genuine, right? Like nobody wants like a fake story on that medium. You got to be really genuine. You got to really care.
It wasn't a big thing for me at the start, like the whole personal brand thing, but now we actually talk strategically around who's posting what, because you want to make sure that you're not bombarding people with your story. So it is quite tactical in that sense. But then I might be at a meeting with a new client or something like that, and they'll be like, hey, I saw this article about you, or hey, this post that I saw somehow ended up in my network. Like that kind of stuff.
And nobody can attribute it to LinkedIn really, because it's kind of this perception of you guys are everywhere. I've seen this article about you. I think it was talking about something that you did. It must be everywhere, right? But really it's about perpetuating that through LinkedIn.
So basically we've hit up every single network that we knew for the entire way, right? So we created this new campaign called The Real Hustle, which is focusing on retailers that haven't really broken the stardom of your $10, $20 million business. They're not your Jane Lou from Showpo. They're not your Justin Dry from Vino Mofo. It's early retailers that are just hitting that $1 million mark who are actually grinding it out. So that whole campaign was getting people together to talk and share about their experiences. And we got in touch with this group called 90 Seconds, and we said, hey, we've got this really cool thing. Do you guys want to come and make a video about it? We'll name you guys as sponsors and you can do it for free. Sure. So basically what we did there was...
They didn't do it for free. We paid. But
it wasn't much.
We asked. But it wasn't much. We got 12 videos created, 1.5 minutes each. So usually you pay quite a bit of money for that. We did a lot of the editing ourselves, like kind of really, really to the minute kind of feedback on where things should be placed. We asked friendlies to actually, jump in on this, because really at the end of the day, our clients wanted to be made famous. Our guarantee to them was, well, if we're making our own brand famous, we've got to make them famous too. And that's kind of what we did. So we put them up in lights and it went pretty well. I'd say we'd replicate that again. Trade shows, we had no idea how to rent trade furniture. Has anybody ever showed up at an expo before? You paid like ExpoNet and all these other kind of businesses $450 to borrow a TV for a day. Yeah, so we borrowed marble tables from Urban Couture for free. We just had to pay the shipping, which was a bit more than that. That's all right. But hustling is kind of what you need to do.
Partnering and building word of mouth, like our whole business is built on like a referral business or indirect sales. So I talked about Shopify and Magento before. There's experts in Shopify, experts in Magento. They're the gatekeepers, right? So effectively what we decided to do was target these experts who are building websites for people and double your sales team by having them as your sales team. So really focusing on who are the networkers in the industry, or who are the people who are looking after these types of technologies. And if you then look like more broadly, effectively you're looking at industry groups or other types of companies that are really helping you sell your own product as well.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get commercial as well. So if you need to, I guess, do a revenue share or some type of lead sharing approach with your partners, do that. But make sure you're both producing a better outcome for your customer. Most importantly, get shit done and follow through on kind of what you promise you'll do. And people will be like, oh my God, you're about the Shippit guys? Oh my God. That's exactly what happens there. Be good people.
Yeah, so we were just two guys that knew nothing about shipping, right? And we would show up at these trade shows and we'd just have a laugh. Like the other thing about sales is not actually selling. It's actually being friends with people, having genuine conversations, and then having drinks with them and just talking to them about some of the issues that they've got, right? And effectively what you build is this trusting relationship where you become the trusted source of information.
E-commerce is massively saturated. The past 10 years has seen an extremely increased number of suppliers reaching out to retailers. So their inboxes are absolutely flooded. You know, your ability to get attention is like virtually zero. Like, how do you get in touch with Jane? You don't. You have a chat and you actually be genuine and you build a relationship, because people don't want to be sold to. You got to build a genuine network, and people work with who they trust. That's the Catch founder putting on our shirt in our booth, right, in front of everybody. Also, be everywhere. So even if you can get a little toehold, be strategic about how you do it. So you can buy a $10,000 stand at an expo, or you can buy the $1,500 like coffee sponsorship. But as long as your brand goes on the website, it's amazing. The way we got Sephora on board, they saw us on a listing, clicked a link, submitted an inquiry, and we won the business. So that wasn't a very expensive cost of acquisition if you think about it. Last point that we wanted to share with everybody was really about, you know, the one area that you can't growth hack or scale is people. You can try and ram people into your business as quickly as you're adding new customers, but I think you really need to take the time to find the right people, make sure they fit, make sure you're training them well, make sure that they're showing up well as well. Because at the end of the day, your brand is all about the people that are within it. So for us, the biggest lesson that we've learned throughout our journey has been people.
We went through some tough experiences in the last 12 months. So we had 13 people, I think, like at the start of last year. We've got 35 now. We hired the best Ruby developers in Australia who like wrote books on Ruby. And then what we realized was like they culturally just didn't fit with us, right? And for us, it was like, well, that was becoming a bit more like toxic in our company, because like one bad egg equals many bad eggs, right? And so what we decided to do was really start to focus on interviewing everyone. So everyone that came through the door, both Rob and I had met them. So every single hire.
Yep. Cool. So to wrap things up, I know we've talked for ages, a few yawns, but top 5 hustle tips really, you know, just be good people. So firstly, be genuine, have a good story, leverage your network. You know, you don't know who's in your network, but don't be afraid to actually ask as well, which kind of ties into the last point. You know, talk to everybody that you can. Don't be afraid to share your idea. Don't hide it under a bush and think that no one's going to find out about it. Really get it out there as early as you can and get validation as quickly as possible. Don't be afraid to pivot your idea based on the problem. Fake it till you make it. Like, we're continually faking it. We fake it right now, right? So as long as you can build it fast enough that you're delivering on your word, fake it, build it, then do it, right? And if you don't ask, you will never get anywhere. So always ask. Most importantly, give your customers the experience they deserve at Shipit.com. So if you know a retailer that could benefit from our service, please do recommend it to them. If you could benefit from it, hang back and talk to us after this. We could really help you change the way you ship to your customers. Add me on LinkedIn, add Will on LinkedIn, and jump on to Shipit and find out a bit more too. Thank you very much.
Right, amazing talk.